want to go back to this Jose Abreu quote earlier, when he's talking about just how he felt after that month. Do you believe that Jose Abreu is, like, how concerned are you that he is going to be able to handle this pressure?
Well, I mean, he didn't handle it before.
Yeah. Well, that's what, like,
they sent him to Florida.
But see, because the messaging is that he was hurt or that his bat speed was slow. And I know he said now about talking about how he felt like he couldn't even field. I don't know if I get Paul vibes that he is, like, it was all mental, or if there was an actual, like, physical ailment that was still going on this whole time. But I don't have this belief that he's going to come back up here and turn it around. And to go back to really the big question of the show today is just, how long do you think that they're going to really try this thing out?
I think they have to as long as they can, because I really think they believe that they're not going to go anywhere unless Abreu is Abreu again.
I wonder why they feel that way.
Well, because John Singleton's barely a major leaguer.
Yeah, but it's one spot in your lineup. Like you look at this lineup that they've constructed, and I don't know why. Because I agree with you that like the part of this is the salary attached to Jose Abreu and what that really means. And then also, I think you're right that maybe this is having a first baseman now in your front office and the influence of that, where it's like, hey, we can't go without this guy. But the lineup still should be, there are other guys that should be good enough to carry you without him. Like you brought up Yainer Diaz earlier, and the fact that, like, he's not really getting the pushback on his struggles that he probably should be. But just because Jose Abreu gets going, to me, also doesn't make it feel like everything's fixed.
What else needs to be fixed then?
The top of the order needs to play good baseball. Like I'm glad Joe Espada is going back to Alex Bregman batting fifth. Like simple things, because it was working. Like why? That's what's frustrating with the Astros for me right now, Paul, is that when things are working well, they seem to have this want and need to revert back to the way things were on opening day. Like what is the reason to force Jose Abreu back in the lineup? If he has 2 hits today, are we going to see him crawl back up the lineup himself when things have been working the way they were? I don't know. Like, why did Alex Bregman, after a small sample size, an extremely small sample size, move back from 5 to 4 when they were trying things, when things were going well? It just, whoever's calling the shots, because that's so unclear still to me, I think to all of us, it's like they want to hit the backspace button or the edit undo button and go back to the way the lineup card looked on opening day.
Is that really what you think it is? Like they're
I don't know.
This is what it was going into the year?
I don't know what the other reasoning would be. Like why when Alex is having a small sample stretch of good but Pena is better, do you feel the need to put it back? Why do you need to put Jose Abreu back in the lineup instead of what's working so well for you?
Well, they probably believe in Bregman more than they believe in Pena.
Well, that seems like a mistake.
I don't know. Is it? I mean, based off of Bregman's entire career and based off of Pena, I mean, we have one great year, and this has been an awesome start to this season.
Yeah, back of the baseball
I was going
card.
to say, that felt very back of the baseball call.
Maybe
baseball
it is.
Card, Paul.
Maybe it is.
No, I agree with Joe. There feels like there's some, like, force pulling them to, this was the plan before the season. This is how we have to win. Where it's like, well, if the plan was dependent on Jose Abreu being good, it's not a great plan if he's hitting if he raised his average to 108 after last night. That's not a good plan. You shouldn't try to keep doing that.
Not in disagreement. This is just what it feels like they're doing.
No, I agree. That's why it's hard. It's even to who's calling the shots, to the Espada quote you read earlier about Lo Perfido.
Right.
It doesn't sound like he wanted this move to happen.
When asked about it, quote, it went well, the conversation he had with Joey Loperfido. It was not easy because I think he's done enough to stay at the major league level.
I think no matter what, we can officially say, because we always say we don't know who's calling the shots. Is it Dana Brown, Joe Espada, Jeff Bagwell? I think we can say definitively it's not Joe Espada. Joe Espada's not calling the shots. He's had a lot of stuff where it's it's Dana Brown saying that, when Jose Abreu comes back, he's going to be playing. And then Joe Espada being like, we'll see. There's a lot of things where there's people saying things, and then Joe Espada being like, I don't know about that. And then what Joe Espada says doesn't happen.
If Dana Brown is also saying, though, that John Singleton's our everyday first baseman, so then is he making the decisions? And honestly, based off of conversations I've had recently, not with people, like this is more just speculative conversations I've had with people who definitely know more than me. I think there is an impression that Dana Brown's in charge of fixing the minor league system and not necessarily in charge of the baseball team, which he's the general manager.
Which is an odd way to handle this.
Yeah, and they just make him the farm director then.
Right? I know. Give him like a title.
They have a job for that. I just like the idea of Dana Brown trying to come up with some idea for the Astros, and then I won't say Jeff Bagwell because it might not be Jeff Bagwell. It's just someone else, Jim Crane, being like, yeah, that. You handle the minor league problems. We'll handle the major league problems. All right, Dana. Like this, come on.
Well, the best part about this is that if somehow Dana Brown has a job in like 5 years here, which doubtful at this point that he'll last that long with the Astros organization.
He might quit before then.
That like he'll fix the minor league system, and there'll be all these prospects that everyone wants to see come up and play for the Astros, and then Jeff Bagwell's going to go, no, guy with the back of the baseball card. Like who's Bryce Matthews? Let's get Alex Bregman out there for $40 million to do nothing. Like come on, guys. Like who cares about these? Who cares about these prospects that you've cultivated for us, Dana Brown?
I didn't even think about it. How funny it is that I thought in one hand, yeah, it makes sense that Dana Brown would be the one that rebuilds the farm system, and then I also think it makes sense that there's not a chance he's still working for the Astros in 4 years.
Zero.
So whatever gains he makes will not be reaped. The benefits will not be reaped by Dana Brown himself.
Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I feel like Dana Brown's going to be told to trade those prospects for some other player who perhaps is an ex-MVP that is older.
Yeah, they're not fixing the farm system to make the Astros better, like with those players coming up. I think he's being told to fix the farm system. Like, would Dana Brown trade Joey Loperfido if it was his choice? I'm going to guess the answer to that is no. Will he trade him at the deadline for a veteran player? It wouldn't shock me if he's told to move on. Like, to me, there's a reason why The Athletic and these websites, when they keep this trying to push this nonsense about Vlad Guerrero Jr. being traded to the Astros, that Joey Loperfido is the guy who's at the top of the list every single time. He shouldn't be, but that's what everyone keeps saying.
The thing I don't get about the Vlad Jr. thing, so he'd be playing first base? And then what would be happening with Jose Abreu?
Good point.
I just don't know how that yes, the Astros need a first baseman. Also, they have a first baseman who's making $20 million a year.
Yeah, 713-780-3776. Let's go out to the HRP listener line. Let's go to Pat. Pat, what's going on?
Hey, guys. I was just listening to your show, and we out here in the storm, so we don't have enough to do but listen, which is good. And, a guy like Dusty Baker, he had more experience to tell Bagwell, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. Also, to balance Jim Crane, like, hey, stay in your place as the owner. And also with Espada telling him, you're not ready for this now. Just goes to show his point. My man did a good job at micromanaging the players individually. What's your thoughts?
I'm with you on that, Pat. I think there is something to be said for having been there and done that, and honestly just not giving a bleep because you're older.
Exactly.
Something to be said for that.
And just like the pelts on the wall. Of just like, yeah, I'm Dusty freaking Baker.
And meanwhile, Joe Espada just is not confrontational by nature, which we've talked about a couple of times over the last few weeks. And I think that lends itself to him perhaps being forced into doing things that he doesn't exactly see eye to eye with. But hey, maybe it's a bit of a leap to compare a interaction he has with an umpire where he's not lighting him up and everyone wants him to light up to a situation where maybe Jeff Bagwell's saying, hey, you got to play this guy. But I mean, what's Espada going to do?
I'll be honest. I don't think it's a leap. Like it's the lack of emotion that this guy shows, the cool, calm demeanor is one, like it gives the vibe that that's just who he is as a person.
And I don't think it should be held against him necessarily, but at the same time, it lends itself to being forced to do things that you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah, because if the pitchers were healthy and pitching well, if the bullpen was pitching awesome, the offense was coming through, it'd be Joe Espada, calm, cool, collected, the composure. This Astros team doesn't get its feathers ruffled because Joe Espada doesn't get his feathers ruffled. But they're 6 games under 500, and he doesn't get tossed when Ronel Blanco gets tossed for sticky stuff. So now it's loser. Stand up for yourself. Be a man. That's what he gets hit with now.
I think the Astros need they need something in between Dusty and Joe. Like you had Dusty Baker, who literally, to what you said, was, I'm Dusty Baker. Like you can, what are you going to fire me? Okay, go ahead. I'm going to do what I want. If I'm going to have Jake Myers play instead of Chas McCormick on opening day in the gold jerseys, fine.
He would say some cutesy colloquialisms, though, with a toothpick in his mouth.
And bring up a player from like 80 years ago.
That I was going to say. He would draw back on his 50 years of baseball experience.
I've talked with, just reminds me of a conversation I had with Hank Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My friend.
Yeah.
He kind of does have like checkmate on like every conversation.
It's sick. When I invented the high five, we were talking about that in the dugout.
Yeah. What we're getting at is that Jeff Bagwell kind of has the trump card of, I'm a Hall of Famer, 500 home run. I don't know if you've heard where Dusty Baker can be like, yes, me and my dear friend Hank Aaron, we're talking, which is kind of outranks him.